Hello there, guys. I got cut off my last live battery and faffing around over the kids. But I feel that I need to continue with what I was saying because that's just one part of it. And just an analogy that if we as human beings have to defend and protect ourselves against other civilians, then there is a law that basically protects us to protect ourselves with reasonable force. And what I was basically saying on the other live, and I feel this is really important, and something that I feel needs to be pushed as well, because our own MP today, PM, Prime Minister, has been able to now employ 2,000 new police officers. And he's not employing those 2,000 police officers because he's going, we have these social problems and this is the solution. He's employing them police officers because him as an individual doesn't have any power or authority to remove people away from him. Only the police do. That's who's been given the authority to do this. So the question that I have to ask, hey Gemma, is that if as civilians, we are civilians, we're not royals, we're not army, we're not state, we're civilians. So if us as civilians are allowed to use reasonable force to defend ourselves, and as I was saying on the last video, if somebody was coming in through my door and their intentions was to knock me down and take my children, or even just they wanted to just break into my home and take an item from my home, then I legally have a right to protect me and my children. And as a mother, that's not our role. That's not who we are. That's the father's job to do. I mean, half of the battle of why we've got so many women walking around as men is because they're having to be their own protective factor. And we were created to have a protective factor, not be our protective factor. And that's exactly the same with our children. But we don't live over in Afghanistan where we've got bombs going off and people ram raiding into our homes and dragging us out of our homes with guns to our heads and having to be subordinate and kneeling down on our floor. But we are in a war. This is the mad thing about it. I mean, come on, one of our British tanks was taken the other day, and we're having to employ. They're playing a game of war, mate. In their meetings, them MPs are playing a game of war. You know when people sit around. What's that, Liam? What's that gameplay that people play with little army figures? I can't remember what it's called, but there's a battle game where people sit around and they have a map of the areas, and then they move their little figures into place and where they're going to do them and stuff like that. That's what they are doing right now. So they're sitting there and working out where they need these 2,000 police officers to be, and and all this sort of stuff. But it's not. They're missing the point. Most of us here are not thinking about going to war against government, about taking over the Queen and dismantling our things. Most people are getting up every day, making sure they're at work on time, that their children are either in school or with a child provider, and about the main thing that a mum thinks about is getting out of work on time to make sure she can pick her children up, or that she's got somebody to pick her children up. And Dad is hoping that maybe he might get into the gym.
Mummy?
Yes, darling?
The laptop's over.
Is it?
And the laptop's got blow.
Well, is that because Shiloh's managed to get hold of it? Who is responsible for this? Oh, where is it?
My laptop.
Yeah, but where? Okay, Shiloh is showing me where it is. It's down the back there, is it?
Yeah.
Great one. Okay, this is why my laptop gets broke. Right, Shiloh, get down, please. Get down, please. Get down. But the reason that I'm saying this is because we lived in days and times, right, where we lived in huts, and the king of our country would give us our land, and we would be able to live on our land, and he would come around with his big horses and his Roman army, and he would ask for his payment. And his payment would either be in gold coins. Don't do this. You want to watch Paw Patrols? I can't get Paw Patrols on here because the code's not working. Let me just try. And literally... Oh, seriously, this YouTube drives me nuts. Some of the things... Amber's just made a comment, actually, that apparently they're taking down people's videos that have got their children in them. Shiloh, get your hands up. I don't know. I haven't checked. I don't know what's true with that yet. I just have to see if Netflix goes on. Because it's not my account. I can't afford shit like this. Like, Shiloh, arms off the laptop now. So, no, it's gone, darling. You have to ask Liam to sort it all out. He needs to sign back in. So, basically, we live under a queen. And now we have barrack houses rather than huts. And jobs rather than being a slave. Because it was slaves, remember? We are slaves. But I'm not at the moment. I'm on benefits. But that's pretty much how it worked. And if you tried defending yourself as a civilian, then the king would probably cut your head off or throw you in to the towers, or the queen would throw you into the towers. In fact, when we have a king, the king just tends to do it the macho way. The queen tends to imprison you because she's female. Don't tend to sort of think that way. Us as males and females think differently. You're not getting up there. No. Now, my point is, when somebody who is a police officer or a social worker threatens you and your family, we have to bow down and just take it. They can come in and they can detain us under mental health. They can arrest us under so-called criminality. They can take our children off of us. They can refuse or give us hospital treatment. Guys, if this becomes a problem, the laptop now goes up there. Do you understand? And you can probably still get up there. Right, Shiloh, from now on now, the cars are being moved over here. If you want to jump, you can jump off this one. Hear me? These are getting moved over here. So you can go and jump off that one. You want to jump? You want to climb? You go on that one. Now, I'm a mother in a home. And I'm allowed to set boundaries, ground rules. And my children and anybody who lives in my house, particularly, has to... No, this box is being removed. Now, you see the tantrum that my son is having? Because I've just set a boundary with him. Can you guys jump down? I've just told you there is a rule. And that rule will be, if you want to climb, you will climb over this side and not over the side by the laptop. But the question is, how do I enforce this? Because as you can hear, my son is not happy with this decision. And he's choosing to express himself through anger and frustration. He could probably even kick me, push at me. And as he's a child, that's okay-ish. Now, me as a mother, if he carries on this behaviour, I don't use physical violence on my children. I don't smack my children. Sometimes I bloody want to. Sometimes I want to dangle them out of the 16th floor. Just because I say it doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Well, should I dangle them out the 16th floor? And I'm being very blatant in the way I'm talking, by the way, because it was a comment like that got my kids taken off of me. End up killing the kids or smashing the Xbox is what I said. And it created this whole hoo-ha. There you go. You can jump off that one. Yep, sorted. Are we all in agreement? Are we happy? Is everybody good? Nobody's dead. Nobody's been thrown out the window. So you may jump off that side and that side alone. So if the laptop comes down again, the laptop's coming out the bedroom. Do you understand? Now, we as individuals have every right to be whole, to live our lives the way that we want, to be who it is that we want to be. And yes, there's going to take some form of training, some form of guidance, some teaching. And that's why we have the education system. Well, no, it's not actually. The reason that we have the education system was so the slaves who had children, the children went and sat, and they wanted to teach them basic numeracy and literacy, and that's all it was. And it was basically just where the slaves' children went. So the education system is an industry in itself. So the reason that I talk in this way is to sort of explain to you that you're not some little person sitting down here that is stood outside Parliament, or the Queen's house actually. You're not stood outside the Queen's house begging and asking for some bread. What is it you want?
The hose.
No, I don't understand. Say that again. I didn't understand.
The hose.
The hose?
Oh, the hose playing in the hovercraft.
Oh, okay. Is they trying to get the hovercraft out, are they?
Look, it's spinning.
Okay, a little bit clearer.
What's this?
He's the bad man, I know that. He's the mayor. Who is the mayor who's the bad man, isn't it? He's in a crane. He's got such an ego that he's having a statue made in his honour of who he is. Let me just move this for you. So, my main point is, we have a right to live in peace. We have a right to live in harmony, prosperity. We have a right to... Basically, we live in a capital society, so we have this thing called money, but we have a right to go and sell our products or time or service in order to be able to support our families. Our system is so upside down. What's with the screaming? Well, that's not going to help you get what you want, is it? What have you lost?
The car.
You've lost, that's better. Have you lost the car down there? Oh, great. Have I got to get down the back there now? Seriously, I hate living there. It does my head in. Shiloh, move over so I can get it, please. So, because I don't like to, I do like to long I don't like to be distracted. This is why I don't do lives with my kids, by the way. And I wait until my kids have gone to bed. Seriously, I've got to get down. I wait until my kids have gone to bed. But then the problem is I've been falling asleep lately. Ah! Elijah, can you not get it? There we go. I got it. I need one of them grabber things.
I got it.
Mummy's got it. There we go. One of them grabber things. But the point of all of this is, some people come from ego. Some people are quite altruistic. But nobody is ever truly altruistic. And ultimately, there is a cost for someone to do something for somebody. They either give up their time, their service, or their product. And we have to have somebody who oversees everything, like the roads. Just take us back to Great Britain. I know we've got a worldwide audience, but just take us back to Great Britain. So pretty much from Portsmouth, so I'm here down at the bottom of Great Britain. I am literally the main point centre at the bottom of Britain. And then if I face up, we go all the way up to Scotland. And then we've got I think it's Lincoln and everything over that side, and then Blackpool and everything over that side. And it's divided up into cities, counties, and councils, so they can basically do statistical analysis. And that's the only reason that we are divided up the way that we are, because it takes statistical analysis to work out what's going on. So unless you're in it, so if people don't bother to submit their stories to the child social care inquiry, then statistically they will turn around and go, hey, well, we put it up on government website, so people have, and it's been out in the papers, so people would have seen it. They're not marketers, yeah, and they haven't got the budget to turn around and go, right, we need to write to every single person who's been through our business, so the care system. So as a business, they're sitting there going, well, actually, Ombudsman's failing us on quite a lot of things, so we have to actually now inquire and see how people feel about the service. And that's what they're doing. Now, without people signing in and putting in their submission, then they're not getting the statistics they need, because your information will be run through a statistical analysis, and based on that it will bring them up a balance of probability. That's how our system works. Oh, here we go. He's now bringing things to the window. I can't cope with living here much longer. Seriously, if Liam hadn't have actually sort of come and stayed, I'd have been out of here. I was literally, it was either I was going up to Liam or I was going to another property, and it's sort of swung and changed around now, and Liam's very much rooted in Portsmouth now, so now it's like, I don't know what to do and where to go and again. So now I've got to go through all that last 18 months where I was making a decision. So, but who knows, maybe I should live in Portsmouth, who knows, but I can't live with windows and us in the same bed, and, if Mum has a wake-up morning like I did this morning, I shouldn't have to have my children in bed with me on that situation. So, but the reality is, when now government comes in, they're basically looking at the statistics. So Boris Johnson's going to have to sit and go through all of the statistics, and all he's going to see within the care system is there were so many forced adoptions, and there were so many children taken for possible future emotional harm, or and they agree with this, don't forget, because they're coming from their way that they've just prevented a child from being abused. So in their mind, they've just saved a child. In our minds, we're going, hang on a minute, what are you talking about? In their minds, they've taken that child and they've eugenically given a child a new identity, life, and everything, which you can't actually do because you can't change your blood and your DNA. You can change somebody's environment and the people that they're around, but you will never, ever, ever, ever actually change somebody's true DNA. You can even put people through situations, but still they will eventually come back to their true self. Even if it's on a dying bed, eventually they will do. And it might not be easy, but majority of people do at some point, take it back. So do I just fill it in and send it off? No, basically what you do is you go onto, the link is on my Crackbook. Just basically, literally, it will say send your submissions. So just like most things, you'll fill in your name, you'll fill in your address, you'll fill in your email and telephone number, and then underneath it will be a download for your Word document. So all you got to basically do is just write it in a Word document. Shiloh! Seriously, if I was out the living room all distracted, oh yeah, took your leg down quick enough then, didn't you? No, you can't go flying out the window. No. No, not up. No, I'm glad to see some words are coming in now. You found something that you want to do, but no. Excuse me. Where are you going? Come here, dribbly chops. You've got your brother's vest on. It's too big for you. So yeah, basically, and then it's the document. But what I've basically said to people is, on the actual website, it says the questions that they're asking. You must stay in line with these questions. Think of it as a exam essay for an English exam. So, no, no. And it's that hot, I have to have my windows open. There's no air conditioning in here or anything, so it gets absolutely sweltering in here if you don't open the windows. Yes, you can have that. Yes, as long as you get down. You're going to give me more grey hairs worrying about you. So basically, actually, sorry about the form. So if you think of it as an exam question, and I'll do another live that's purely just about this later on. And I'm going to have to start getting these titles in properly so you know what I'm talking about. So I did ask Amber to do it, but she doesn't seem to get headings and titles. So, and she wants to be a journalist. If you don't get that right, mate, you'll never be a journalist. So basically, if you think of it as an exam question, so take for example, I haven't got anything written around, nothing. Okay, so in front of me I've got do you have a medical condition or injury? And it's about the BSc Live Exercise Referral Team can help you achieve your health and fitness goals through 12 weeks of discounted exercise to improve your current condition, mass stress and anxiety, maintain your weight and health, gain a positive outlook, increase more energy, lower your blood pressure. Contact your GP or health provision to start today. Or by the way, this is available to everybody around the UK if you don't know about this. And actually, I would suggest that everybody goes and does it. Basically, 12 weeks, you get a personal trainer. So if you've got mental health, learning difficulties, anything like that, go to your doctors and you get 12 weeks of a personal trainer. That's been going on for years all the way around the UK. So make sure you go and do this. But basically, so I'll show you it. So do you have a medical condition? Right? So say all of a sudden that business wants to speak to all of the people who've gone through that service, and it wants to know, in that 12 weeks, did your current condition improve? Did you manage to manage your stress and anxiety? Did you maintain a healthy weight? Did you gain a more positive outlook? Did it increase general levels? And did it lower your blood pressure? So in order to be able to do that, after every time somebody uses a service, even in social care, this is why you fill out the complaints form. Shouldn't be called a complaints form, there should be a compliments and complaints form. But I think they're getting that way. So basically, they would put up on their website, we're just inquiring about our services and how much time. Yes, Claire. So your mum and your sister can also do it. It doesn't matter. It's an inquiry into exactly how you feel about the question that they're asking, and it's important to everybody. So, prime example, it says in here that they're giving you 12 weeks to lower blood pressure. Now, what if somebody actually has blood pressure issues? Now, you can't physically turn around and say that you can do that within 12 weeks. That is an impossible time scale. And the big thing about this is, seriously, thank you. Hey Frederick, just updating for what I was talking about on the live that I got cut out on. So basically, I was just talking about, if a civilian puts you under threat, you're allowed to use reasonable force to defend yourself. But when it comes to the services, you have to be subordinate and submissive. And unless you understand these structures to hold people accountable through a written process, then there is nothing that you can do other than become suppressed and depressed. Because, and even the police understand this, by the way. So if you have a look at any victimology, the police themselves and the courts actually understand that in order to be able to heal, a person has to deal with the person who caused the problems to them. There's no good you complaining to me about your case. You can complain to me about your case as much as you like. Yes, it feeds me. Yes, it helps me make a better informed decision. Yes, it helps me understand this system better. But ultimately, I can't do anything. However, if you now say everything that you've ever said to me to the inquiry, Now we're talking about a different kettle of fish. If it all happens under cloaks and daggers, they can shut this down. We've already got it in the public eye, and the fact is government now have to be held accountable that all meetings now are done live. Okay, so government meetings are having to be transparent now. No, you can't do that. It's a microwave.
Mummy,
Yes, darling.
I want a drink.
You would like a drink? Yes, sweetheart. Where's your cup? It's over there, I think. Do you want to go and grab me your cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's over there. But it's down on the floor under Paw Patrols. Just under there. That's it. Well done. Yes. Oh. Take your back off it for 2 seconds. So, I'm just going to do this for my kids, and then I'm going to go and... that's disgusting. That's milk. It's curdled. And then I'm going to have to go and do some stuff with my kids. So basically, the question... I'm just going to put you over here before my son pulls you down. So basically, the inquiry is asking about these time scales. So it's basically asking about the process, how long they've got, and this is what you can now frame. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? You can now frame anything and everything into that. So be it is it that you did maybe need some help, you did need a psychological report done, and you did need some form of stuff. You can say that the time scale that the courts had given it wasn't appropriate for the needs, or you can say that the budget didn't allow for it to be a specialised... I'm just washing my son's cup, sorry. The budget didn't allow for... It's like with me with being Asperger's. You can't just use a normal psychiatrist with me. It has to be somebody who specialises in... you know, the neuros of what I deal with. Or it may be that actually you didn't even get to me. Or it may be that... sorry guys, just 2 seconds, multitasking and all of that. This isn't something worth putting my children into nursery all day for, do you know what I mean? Shiloh, if you throw that out there, that's Liam's for a start. Yeah, so how you've got it, it's Liam's. And basically from this is why I say treat it like an exam question. Sorry, I'm so distracted. Let me just give him this juice, and I'm distracted by a light Shiloh at the window. There you go, dude. Turn the microphone on, please. Yeah, so basically if you use it like an exam question, you have to keep bringing it back to the point. So open up a Word document, go onto their website, open up them questions that they've asked you. So the header and the points of questions, and work within that and start writing in it and bring your own experiences in it as a result of what they're doing. So with me, mine was a 26-week court process. So literally they were removed within 2 minutes. Then I'm in this 26-week court process where initially there is 72 hours to make a decision whether my child stays in care or whether we have to go through a 26-week court process. Nobody explains that to you. Nobody tells you. You've got 72 hours to present us grounds on why we should return your child. That's 72 hours. You're still running around trying to find a solicitor and a barrister, and that solicitor and barrister is trying to work out whether or not he's even got time to sit and talk to you, and you've got to explain your entire life and your entire matter to that solicitor and barrister. A barrister you won't actually get to meet until he's going to be speaking. It's the solicitor that writes your statements. From this point now, your life only exists on paperwork. Your life out here doesn't exist. Your life on paperwork, your straw man, as per se they call it, that's the one that exists. So there's two representations of you. There's the physical one that you stand in here right now, and then there's the paperwork one that they've formed. What they're basically saying in this inquiry, and what they're wanting to know, is whether the time that social workers are having to spend writing And actually sometimes these reports aren't even actually written by the social worker who came to see you. Sometimes she just has some notes written down on a piece of paper, or she might have recorded some notes and she's handed it over to somebody else to write, or she's got to find space and time in the fact that she's been out and seen another case and another case. They might see up to 50 people. I guarantee you right now, if you ask me to write, and I'm actually more qualified and experienced than the social workers to do this. But, okay, who have we got on here? We've got Frederick, we've got Claire, and Amber's not had children taken. I'm only going by comments and stuff. So if I take the 3 people that I can see right now, and you ask me to now present a court paperwork to tomorrow, because you've got 72 hours, and to state who you are, what you're about. One, that's not my job to do, mate. I'm here to tell you why I'm taking your kids. I only have to give one reason. I only have to tick one box. I only have to give one form of suspicion or reason or ground for why you are a significant risk to your child. Okay? Well, I can't actually come up with anyone for Claire. Claire's got a heart of gold. So, you know, return child. So this is the challenge. This is the problem. So if you get into that, and any person can respond to this, even somebody who just goes to school with somebody who's in foster care, or somebody lives next door to a foster care, any person who has a heart or concern about any child, even we can comment about seeing other people and what other people have gone through. I can probably even write in about other people. But if you ask me to do a true, honest account of say, I'm going to go down in the garden a minute. If you ask me to do a true, honest account of even the people watching, it'd be impossible to do. I'd have to sit down with you again. I'd have to go through it, and I'd have to ask you, you know. So you're expecting a social worker to also then be able to remember your kids' names, remember what your situation was, and that's why they've got screened boxes to go into. Do you know what I mean? That's why they've got certain boxes, so they can then just go, that's emotional, that's physical, that's sexual, that's medical. And medical is very new now, so now you're expecting social workers to understand all of these different terminologies and labels. So it's really, really, really important that you just bring it from that point. Just imagine that you're just doing an English exam right now. Yes, you're going to have stress. Yes, you're going to have anxiety, but nobody's going to be passing or failing you. What you're going to be doing is ultimately putting into a box for a panel of committee people who oversee that entire structure. So you're not talking about the MPs, you're not talking about the people that we're trying to get to speak to these people. You're talking about the people who have full authority to make the changes and to see things and do this and where. And I've met these people, and they're very lovely people, by the way. I've sat in the education committee board many times. Very lovely people, very good people. They just don't necessarily understand things from another point of view. And it's up to us to do that. It's up to us to change their perception, even if it is that you were a drug dependent and you were in domestic violence and you were in a challenging situation. Then you have to help break the social stigmas that they have to that. Because what you've got to understand is people are living in really lovely big 5-bedroom detached houses with 2-3 cars per family. They wouldn't have a clue what it's like to think about rubbing 2 pennies together in order to maybe get enough for some milk, and they probably wouldn't even dare ever think. This to them means failure. This to them means can you leave that egg in my fridge alone, please? This to them means low level, darling, low level, scum of the earth. And you have to you can't have a go at them for that. You can't have a go at them. And I'll tell you what, I actually see some aristocrats that are the most genuine, beautiful people. And I'll tell you what, when I go to have conversations with them, there's one particular one, she cries her eyes out with me, mate. She, at the adoption inquiry, she sobbed with me. She put her arms around me. She cried with me. It broke her heart. And these people really do care, and they really are trying to do a really good job. So if you sit there and you go, oh, you know, the state can't do this and the state can't do that, they can. And we're at the biggest pinnacle time ever of lobbying, changing. Yes, there's corruption. Yes, there is. Of course there's corruption. But, you know, that's where we come in and we bring the light to the dark. But anyway, my boys are really sort of needing to maybe go out and do something. Finally found the Tampax so I can get up and about. Sad, innit? And I'm certainly not going over to the food bank today because of how they treated me last time. So to King's Church in Southsea, you are Barclays and you are a damn church. Yeah, it's the weekend, guys. So please, 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 the weather's going to get absolutely beautiful. The quicker you get these submissions done, the quicker you can get off to play, and then sit back and wait until September, and then be with me on the 3rd to daisy chain, and hold these guys accountable, and be there to say that we need this to be an investigation, and write that at the bottom of your submission that you really feel that there needs to be as an investigation into children's social care and why, and not just from your own personal account, but from all sides. It's a foot in the door, mate. You answer their questions and then you go bang with the rest of it, yeah? So answer their questions, bang, bring it back to their questions, bang, bring it back to their question, bang, bring it back to their question, bang, and then bring it back to their question and bang, yeah? If I can, I will sit down and help anybody and everybody. I haven't got a Word document myself, and I haven't even got the time and space myself. As you can see, if I'm trying to sit on a laptop writing with these two around right now, it's complete chaos. And by the time I'm cleaned up, straightened up the house and sort stuff out, I'm absolutely knackered. So I'm hoping literally the next time Dean comes, that's it. I am taking that time to 100% get mine done, and that's all I'll be doing. No, my luck, you're turning around and go swimming and go camping. But literally, I am handwriting it. I am putting it together in between bits, ready to make sure that it's bang and gone. And yes, I could probably handwrite it and send it to them as well, because not everybody does have computers. And maybe that's a really good idea as well, that if you have actually typed it up and sent it to them, to print it up and hand copy it and send it to them. At the end of the day, as I've been saying, a civilian comes through our door, we have the right to protect ourselves. But when the services does it, we don't, because that's anger, that's aggression, that's mental health, that issues, you know. But ultimately, if somebody is coming to endanger a person, like I said, the person who's actually waving the knife at you, if they're waving a knife at you, it's because they're trying to defend themselves. Even if you don't have a knife yourself, it's just a scared person who's letting you know, I don't know what you've got, I don't know what you might have, so I'm going to let you know that I could go there. Because if someone wants to stab you, mate, they'll stab you. And this is where people are getting the whole psychology over trauma and fear and faith completely wrong. You know, they're really misunderstanding it. I had this with Stephen when the police came, when Stephen had picked up a knife out the drawer. He wasn't, if he wanted to stab me, he'd have stabbed me. What he was saying was he was actually feeling scared. He was in an intimidated place. And this is where people are getting the whole violent role wrong. Unless somebody is actually coming in and they're going stab, 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 if they're waving it at you, they're scared. There you go. They're feeling intimidated. There you go. And this service has got this whole lot upside down. They really have. Like Boris Johnson now, putting all of his time and effort into policing, and brilliant, great, and we're going to get some more police, but he should be putting his time and effort now into letting people know what's going on, how things are, asking people how they're doing, coming into towns and cities right now and shaking hands with people and saying hello to people and introducing himself as the new you know, and finding out from the local councillors and things like that what's going on, not statistically, but actually how people feeling, how people doing. You know, that's another cover question another time. That's how we should be led. But I've done so many leaders conferences that I look at these people and think, are they really leaders, or are they just directors of a company that you never see and never deal with, and you know, you can't quite get up the ranks? And that's what it is. That's what we've become. So unless we submit our submissions and put them in, we don't infect anything. Us on the outside, bang, bang, bang. We can shout and bang our head against the brick wall as much as we like. It's just tickle cloths to them. That's why I said to you, if there was any one protest for us all to hit, it was when they were all outside, all the delegates, everybody. Hence why, yet again, I was the only one there, because a lot of people don't take this seriously. Would have I travelled all the way to London to have done it? Yeah. Would have I travelled to Scotland for that? Yeah. Would have I travelled to a fucking another country for that? Too right. Because it was an open field. Whenever we protest, they're inside. They're inside in big buildings and lots of walls in between those big buildings to get to them big buildings. We had an opportunity to actually penetrate sound into here. Straight into here. Straight in. Straight in. I speak. Straight in here. Not wall, 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 wall. Yeah? Or stood outside a court where you're speaking to the security guard who's outside. The police are hearing what we've got to say and looking at us thinking, da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, that judge can't hear you. That judge can't hear you, but that judge was on that field. So was all the 18 delegates was on that field. So was the Queen was on that field. I speak, Queen's ears here, open, yes? She's not sitting in the carriage. She's not a million miles away from me. She's not got earplugs in, by the way, because when the Queen sits in the carriages as she's going around, she actually wears earplugs. She has to be all open and everything while she's out there. And it's done deliberately. Don't forget, these people are trained under neuralistic programming to make sure that when somebody comes up to him, so if I go up to Boris, they say, hey Boris, would you like a new hairdresser? Would you like that for free or not? He takes it on the chin because he's trained to do so. People don't get to where they've got to get to without being mentally strong. That's why people like me break, because it's about becoming really mentally strong, and it's about you becoming really mentally strong as well. Yes, Shiloh's got it, hasn't he?
No.
Who's got it?
Dad.
Would you like to go outside? Would you like to go to the park? Would you like to go down to Victoria Park today, because I'm bored of outside? Yeah, do you want to go down to Victoria Park today? See if we can find our videographer. Yeah? I want to try, if anybody's up for it, going down to Thorpe Park before these free tickets are over. So if anyone's got free tickets and want to go, then I'm happy to go with you if I can do a petrol scan.
Donuts.
And you just want donuts, don't you? So anyway, just to get back to the point. We as individuals have a right to all of the human rights that the EU has provided us with. We are coming out of the EU and we are standing under British soil 100%. So you'd love to eat donuts. You're going to be a policeman? Would you like to be a policeman?
Yeah.
Why would you be a policeman?
A toy policeman.
You'd like to be a toy policeman.
A toy policeman.
And a toy policeman. Are they all toy policemen?
The window.
Your auntie's a policewoman.
The window.
She could be very helpful right now, but I very much doubt she'd talk to me.
The window.
No, you're not jumping out the window. Oh dear, pick it up.
Ow. Ow.
Just a prime example before I go. Elijah has just fallen over the drums. I live in a residential block.
Mommy.
Yeah? Yes, darling.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Would you like to bang the drums for me a minute? Cool. Keep banging. We have a law in this country that means you have to have a licence to play music. Yes. And also we have a law in